You're alive.
Hi guys, I'm so glad to be back with you this week. I'm Lisa from Recreated Designs, and I'm going to be doing a bright and colorful Valentine craft with you today. I'm going to show you how a couple different paint techniques on how to take mason jars and turn them into fun vases for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to show you two different techniques. So thank you for joining me, and we're going to jump right in. And we're going to start with, I've got a whole bunch of different mason jars here, and that's pretty much all you need for this project, just a mason jar and some paint. But it's really cool. We're going to do some paint on the outside, and we're going to do a second one with paint on the inside. I'm going to show you how to get some cool features on them. So we're going to start with, we've got all different shapes here, and I think for the first one that I'm going to do, I'm going to start with this big one, just so you can see how to do this. And we're coming to you from up in Ottawa, Canada today. That's where I always come to you from. So let us know where you're coming and joining us from. And we are going to start. So we've got our large mason jar here, and you can find these at the thrift store, anywhere. They're all over the place. And all I need is some nice, bright Valentine paint here, just Valentine colors, and a sponge brush. So I'm going to show you how to get a really cool effect. The first one that we're going to do, I'm going to show you on the outside how to get this. So we need our three colors, and you can do this in any color you want, but I'm going to use Valentine colors because that's coming up here today. And
Good afternoon to California, Kentucky, some people from Canada, Kansas.
Oh, hey, thank you for joining us.
And Puerto Rico. All right.
Thank you. So we're making some Valentine vases today, and I'm going to show you a couple of different really cool techniques. So I've got this here, and I'm going to use red, pink, and white, and I'm pouring, this is a pretty thin paint. I'm using Fusion Mineral Paint, but you can use whichever one you want. And I'm going to pour three colors, and I want to pour them next to each other. So I'm just going to set that there. And then I'll show you how we're going to get a cool technique on the outside of the jar.
Hello, Laura from Texas, and Sherry from Maryland, Nancy from Florida. Welcome, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
All the way out in New Zealand, too. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to turn this around. I want to put my white next to my pink here. So I'm just using a little plastic plate here, and I'm just kind of making three strips of my three colors that I want to use here.
This paint is called Fusion Mineral Paint.
Yeah, the one I'm using, that's Brad behind the camera again for us, and the one I'm using today is Fusion Mineral Paint, but you can use any red, pink, and white paint you want for this. So, because
Chalk or acrylic?
This one, Fusion is an acrylic, it's a latex, so you can use craft paint, but you can do this with chalk paint too. I've done it with chalk paint. So depending on how big your jar is how big of a brush you want to use, these little foam brushes that you can pick up anywhere. And I'm going to use a medium one. This is kind of a large jar, but this will be perfect. And you want to make sure that your paint fits your sponge brush here, okay? So I'm going to start by scooping up a little bit of my paint here. And it doesn't really matter how straight my lines stay, because I want this to kind of be a little bit impressionistic. So I've got my three colors on my brush, and I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to start going around my jar. So you can see that the paint blends beautifully together doing it this way, as opposed to like if you were painting each row separately. So when you run out and you've got around, I just want to pick up more paint on my brush again. You can see this is the perfect width, and I'm going to do this start again. So I'm going to just start my jar here right above my last one, and I'm just going to go right around my jar again. And you can see it's making these beautiful kind of Valentine stripes around our jar here. So I'm just going to keep going around, and this is so much fun. You could do this with any color. Oh, I don't want to switch my brush because then I'll mix my colors, but you can see around there. So be sure to let us know in the comments too if you have any questions and where you're joining us from and what you've been doing for Valentine's Day too. We'd love to know what you've been up to for Valentine's Day.
Welcome, Mohammed from Egypt. I have a friend from Cairo.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you guys are all your Christmas stuff's down. You're getting ready for Valentine's Day. So we're just working on some Valentine crafts here today. So I'm going to go right around my jar again here. And you can see how pretty these stripes are. So it is super easy to paint this, and you could change up these colors. You could do any sort of color you want. If this was for another holiday, it's easy to change these up. So I'm just going to add the red stripe around the top. Now when you get to, yep.
The paint is called Fusion Mineral Paint, and it's acrylic.
The one I'm using today, yeah, but you could do this with any sort of paint. So I'm going to paint my top here too. And I'm just putting my hand inside to be able to turn this. You don't have to worry about the bottom. And we are just going to keep going around like that. So there you go. That's a super easy way to get a beautiful paint technique. And when that dries, you get all these beautiful colors together. So you can see how this would be really pretty in the fall with like some red, oranges, and yellows, Christmas colors, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to set that aside. And I'm going to show you how to do an opposite technique. And we're going to use the same paints, but I'm going to water them down a little bit. So I'll show you this time. I'm going to put a little bit in my, so I just have some glass jars, and these are just for mixing. And Fusion is a pretty thin paint anyways, that's why I chose this one. But you can use any sort of acrylic paint that you want, or chalk paint.
Someone said it looks like it's wrapped in bacon.
Oh,
That would be amazing.
I love that.
Where can you buy this paint?
That's so cute. Fusion Mineral Paint is available on Amazon from local retailers. It's available at a lot of different places, so you can pick that up.
Basically anywhere.
Yeah, but you can buy like paint from Hobby Lobby or Michael's, depending on where you are. So while I'm mixing this, you can just bear with me a second here, and I'll show you how we're going to mix this. We would love it too if you would share this Valentine video with people. We always appreciate and love that you guys share things for us.
If you're using thick paint, should you thin it?
Yes, definitely if you're using thick paint, especially for the jar we're going to do now. So this one, it's okay for the paint to be thick, but the next one I'm going to show you, you want your paint to be on the thinner side for sure. So I'm going to add a little water to these.
Hello to Scotland and Australia. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, so I've got some water in there. And I'm just going to mix up my paint with the water here. I don't want it to be too thin. And this red is just a little bit too thin, so I'm going to add a little more paint in here. And you can do this with a fairly thick paint. I just want to show you what it's going to look like. So I'm going to mix these up here.
Hi, Paula from Seattle. Nice place. Been there lots.
Yes.
Loves to rain.
Yes. And don't forget too, if you don't have time to watch the video now, or you want to come back and watch this later, you can always save it to your timeline, and then you'll have it for later to watch too.
Did you say you have painted rocks? Or
Ooh,
somebody's
painted
talking
rocks.
about painted rocks. They want to see that.
Painted rocks, that would be cool. Okay, so I've got my 3 paints here, and for this one, I'm going to take this, and I'm actually going to paint the inside of my jar. So I want to take, and this is really cool because it gives you this really pretty glass look when it's dried. So you can take any sort of jar, and I think I'm going to take this one just so you can see it because it's straight down. And I want to start by pouring my paints from the top, and I'm going to kind of let them pour down here. And I made these ones just a little bit thin, so I'm going to use some paint just so you can see it online. So you can see here, and I'm going to pour just a little bit down here. I want to make it a little thicker so you guys can see it pouring. And I'm just going to lay that down.
Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate the support.
And I'm going to pour my white next to it.
A little bit's falling out there.
Can you see? Let's see.
What are
you
we
know what?
looking for?
And then we're going to add a little bit of our red. And I'm just going to pour a little bit of that water out so you can see. And the thicker the paint is on this one, it's going to stick. You're just going to go through a lot of paint pouring it in. So, whoops, we're dripping it there. So you can see on the inside, I'll hold it there so Brad can show you. I'm starting to get almost stripes of paint on the inside.
Okay.
And I'm just going to pour some white. So I'm not too worried about this step being messy, but you can see on the inside, it's starting to marble up a little bit, and I'll see if Brad can see that there.
Yeah.
And from the outside, we want to start to swirl this. So this is where having a thinner paint is a little bit better, but I wanted to make this kind of thick so you can see it here. So, and unfortunately, I'm getting paint on the outside of the jar here. But if you were doing this, and my hands are all painty here, you would want to start rolling it around on the inside. So you can see the paints are starting to swirl a bit here. And so you would keep rolling this around. If your paint is thick, you can lay it down and let it move around. It might take a bit of time. You can also take a little plate and turn it upside down too for all your extra paint to run out. And you can see, especially on the bottom here, it's starting to marble up where I had used some thinner paint. And this will, almost like those effects that you're seeing, this will start to run into each other and start to marbleize. And I'll show you one that's already done, but you can see here too. So that's just another way to do the inside of a jar, and I'm gonna turn this upside down. And if I was drying this, I would leave it upside down so the paint runs out. But I want to show you. So here's a bigger one, and I'll just move my paints out of the way here. So here is a big one that I've done already, and you can see the paint is all, it's nice and shiny because the paint is on the inside of this one, and it's all dry, so you get this cool technique around it. And if you look on the inside, I don't know if you can see that.
Nope.
But it's all dry and it's all marbleized. So the other one that we did too, when it dries, it makes all these gorgeous stripes. So you can use any color, and so you've got two very different looks. So once you have your jars done, I'm going to show you a cute little thing to put inside of them. And I'm just going to move these ones over a little bit here so you can see. So to make a little Valentine bouquet, you can grab some twigs from outside, and these are just, we collected them outside before it snowed. And all you need is some plain paper. So this is the perfect project. You can even have kids do this. You want to take some plain white paper and just cut some little sections here. And just cut out a heart. So we're just going to go around like this. And I want to cut a second one the same, so you can just double the paper while you're doing this, but I'm going to cut a second one here. So they're pretty similar in size. Okay, so you've got two little white hearts. And what you want to do on the end of your stick here, so you can take a twig, we want to put some glue. And if you were joining us last week, we had some glue gun technicalities, but we got it all working. And we want to put a little bit of glue inside our heart here, if you can see that. Okay, whoops, stuck to my finger. So this heart, has the glue on it, and I'm just going to stick my twig inside, and I want to stick my other heart to the outside of it. So I hope you can see that there. So I've just got my heart stuck together. And you can use the same paint you were using on your jars to paint up your hearts. So you can use your same brush with 3 colors on it if you want one of them to look nice and colorful like that, and marbly. It's almost like a marble effect. So you can do that. I'll show you some that are done here too. So you want to paint both sides of your heart. So this really, it's using some free twigs from outside, some of your printer paper, and just some little bits of this paint that we've got left over from the jars. So you can take them like that if you want to make some marble ones, and I'll show you. So I did the ones that I made in solid colors. So I used the same paints that I used for my jars, painted my hearts, and then I've got these, just these cute and fun Halloween hearts that can go in my jar. So they're like a little Halloween bouquet. Sorry, Halloween. Oh my goodness. They're a little Valentine bouquet here. So you can make a bunch of these. They're fun to make with kids. And you've got a little Valentine bouquet to decorate at home. So you've got some nice colors. You've got 2 new techniques for paint here on the outside and the inside, and some little hearts for a bouquet for Valentine's Day. So there you go. I hope you have fun. I'd love to know how you do this, and if you do some variations on it, what you do. That would be super fun to see, and let me know. Thank you for sharing the video and for joining me. I'm Lisa from Recreated Designs, and I will see you guys again soon. Have a good afternoon. Bye, guys.